The second Republican presidential debate was held last night at the Ronald Reagan Library in Simi Valley. Candidates sparred over the economy, abortion, China, and former President Donald Trump's absence from the debate stage. He held an event in Michigan with striking auto workers instead. Joining us now to break down the key moments of the night is USC professor of politics and communications, Dan Schnur. Thanks so much for being with us. You know, Dan, to many of us, including myself, this looked a lot like the first debate. It was a little messy. People are talking over each other. Can you give out an award for best or worst performance of the night?
Well, I think my award for best performance is probably not as relevant as who Donald Trump thinks did the best in the debate. And it was really notable that just minutes after the program ended last night, that Trump's campaign put out a very extended criticism of Nikki Haley. So after months of leveling their attacks on Ron DeSantis, seeing him as the most significant potential threat to Trump, now they're going after Haley. So regardless of what you or I think, Trump thinks that Nikki Haley won the debate, and they're now concentrating their fire on her.
That's interesting. Yeah, you see the pivot there. You know, a lot of people do also call these debates an audition to be Mr. Trump's VP. However, he came out and said at that striking auto workers appearance that he made, that he didn't like any of them to run with him. What do you make of this assessment?
Well, 8 years ago, when Trump first became the Republican nominee for president, he felt that he needed to reassure the party establishment. He needed to reassure religious conservatives. That's why he picked Mike Pence. He doesn't think he needs to do that anymore. So I'd be very, very surprised if Trump does end up being the nominee, if his running mate was on that stage last night. My guess is what most of those candidates were auditioning for is not so much being Trump's running mate, but being Trump's last standing alternative. They all want to be in a one-on-one fight against him next spring rather than just being one of a group. That's, at least in the short term, their most important goal.
You know, it's interesting that you just pointed out the Nikki Haley comments, because I think a lot of people were looking to see if Florida Governor Ron DeSantis could course correct his campaign. It seems that at least the former president doesn't think he did. Those of us, though, here in California, were really looking at the governor of Florida's performance to see how maybe it sets him up for squaring off against our current governor, Gavin Newsom, in November. Do you have thoughts on this?
Well, it's a really peculiar event. And I know most of your viewers are familiar with this, but Ron DeSantis, who is running for president, is going to be debating our governor, Gavin Newsom, who is not running for president, in late November. It's an opportunity for DeSantis to prove his conservative credentials to a primary audience in a way that he's not going to be able to on a debate stage with 6 other conservatives. But it's probably even a better opportunity for Newsom. He gets the national profile, and even though he said he has never, ever, ever thought about running for president, should he change his mind, whether next year or in 2028, this kind of national exposure can't help but to help him.
Never, ever, ever? I don't know if I believe that, but okay. Really quickly before I let you go, so many jabs and one-liners. Did you have a best of the night?
Yeah. My best one-liner was not from the debate stage. It was from Donald Trump giving a speech in Michigan about the auto workers strike. He said, and I quote, "The Wall Street predators, the Chinese cheaters, and the corrupt politicians have hurt you. I will make you better. For years, foreign nations have looted and plundered your hopes, your dreams, and your heritage, and now they're going to pay for what they've stolen and what they've done to you. The white working class voters who helped elect Donald Trump in Rust Belt states in 2016 switched to Joe Biden in 2020. Trump wants them back.
Yeah.
And whether Trump or another Republican is the nominee next year, those are the voters that are going to decide the election. And that's the message, that if Trump is the nominee, he's going to be selling to them.
Well, if students are watching, I'm sure that'll be the topic of discussion in many classrooms today at USC. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.